God doesn't always want you to be in a comfortable position. We like to believe as if just because I'm sitting back with my feet up, I'm doing God's will because my life is easy. But your life ain't always supposed to be easy. Most times, more often than not, God is trying to show you something. God wants you to grow. So he's going to put you in uncomfortable situations. And a lot of us try to run away from what God wants us to do. A lot of us try to run away from what God is calling us to because it doesn't look like what we want it to look like. It doesn't feel as if how we want it to feel. But on the other side of that fear, on the other side of that running away, right, there is true blessing. Now, let's get to the next episode. Amazing. Yo, what is good, everybody, man? Hopefully everybody's feeling loved and blessed. As always, bruh, welcome back to another Kids Room Podcast episode. And today, we're going to be talking about how God will force you to stand out. And not as if forcefully doing it physically as what we see as people, right? But in a spiritual sense, as if sometimes situations are gonna come up in your life and it's gonna cause you to question things, and it's gonna cause you to have to stand out. It's gonna cause you to have to use your gift at times, whether you like it to or not. God knows how to provoke us in a positive manner. God knows how to provoke us in a positive way, in a constructive way, in a way not to only break us down but to build us up. And that is somewhat of a freeing feeling. And when we're called to a mission, we tend to run away from it, right? I was reading the book of Jonah this week, and that's truly what Jonah did, literally. Ran away from God. God told him to do one thing, and he wanted to do another. And whether he liked it to or not, God's plan still prevailed. And that's a big thing. This year in 2025, God's plan will always prevail. God's plan will always show itself through. When you ask God to show himself to you, when you ask God that, God, just show me where are you at in this? What am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to be doing, God? It's a wonderful thing. So many people will wonder as if, why is this person getting things so easily? Why is this person having these successes? Why is this person getting these things? It's because they're doing what God probably told them to do. Or as if it doesn't matter what you did, you don't deserve anything. We don't deserve anything. There's nothing that we could have done to receive the favor that Christ gave to us. But it's because God is like, no, you have to serve this purpose. This is something that you need to be doing. This is the mission that you are going to do, not nobody else, because I called your name to do it. I told you to do it. I came to you to do this. And when you get such a strong encounter with Christ, when you get such a strong command from God, you can't always run away from it. Sometimes God will put you through things until you get right back where you're supposed to go to. And then you're like, well, I feel like I still ended up right back where I was supposed to be at. And why is that? It's because you looked every which way to be lost. You ended up still being found. You still ended up finding the place that you wanted to be at. Because you can't run away from God. You can't force yourself away from God all the time. God can't let you out of his sight. God can allow you to be out of his hand, to be from under his protection. Yes, he can do that, but you can't force yourself out of that. You can't force yourself out of God's life, out of his plans, out of his love or anything like that. God will force you to stand out. God will put you in certain situations to stand out, right? And like I said, we're going to go into the book of Jonah, chapter 1. We're going to start off in verses 4 and 5. And it goes on to say, then the Lord sent a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up. All the sailors were afraid, and each cried out to his own God. And they threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. But Jonah had gone below deck, where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. There. It's not much significance, but just goes on to say as if Jonah already stands out, right? Whenever Christ was asleep on the ship with the disciples and they were all crying and screaming, trying to say, Christ, are you not seeing that we're being threatened, that things are about to happen? We could lose our life in this storm. And Christ just says, calm down. Like, what are you afraid of? I'm over here sleeping. And y'all are tripping. Y'all running around, hooping and hollering, trying to figure out what's going on. And Christ is saying, be still. And he calmed the winds and the sea, right? Another depiction of Jonah. Jonah is sleeping below deck. When there's storms and everyone else is crying to their God and nothing is happening, but why is there one person that stands out, right? And it goes on in chapter 2 of Jonah, verses 7 and 9. That goes on to say, when my life was ebbing away, I remembered you, Lord, and my prayer rose to you, to your holy temple. Those who cling to worthless idols turn away from God's love for them. But I, with shouts of grateful praise, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed, I will make good. I will say salvation comes from the Lord. There's nothing that we can do or say or anything like that to ever get ourselves out of the favor of Christ. But what we can do, and goes on to say later in Jonah, that he ends up being eaten, right? But not eating to die, but eating to just be sitting there, man. And he learns a lesson. When you run, though, right? When Christ already calls you out, right? When Christ already has put you to the opposition, he already put you to single you out amongst the 10, amongst the 12, you are singled out. Amongst your friend group, you are singled out. Amongst your family, you are singled out. In your job, you're singled out. In your life, you're singled out. Because God already has a mission and a plan for you that has to be singled out. That nothing ears have not heard, eyes have not seen, things have not ever been thought of the things that God is going to do for you. Neither have you thought of it. You think of what you know, of what you think God could do for you, but you don't truly know until he starts doing what he's doing. Right? He starts to move things in your life. He starts to put people in your life. You start to make the connection. You start to do the right networking. You start to get the right opportunities. And it all seems as if you are working hard towards something actually now. You don't know what it is. You don't know the end effect. You don't know what's going to happen. But you know God is forcing you to stand out because everybody in the world that was a boxer, Floyd Mayweather was one of the best, right? Sugar Ray Leonard, one of the best, right? Mike Tyson, one of the best, right? But it was somebody in their life at some point in time that said, you are going to be that person. You're going to have the money team, Floyd Money Team Mayweather. You're going to have all this money. You're going to do all these things. But there's a bunch of boxers that he's fought. But for some reason, Floyd was the one that got chosen, right? And whether he knew it or not, at some point in time, God was going to push him and put him into that position, right? I don't know. I don't know what God's plans are for you and what your life is. But I just know how we see other people's lives. It's nothing special. God could do the same thing for any of us, right? And Floyd was just an example. But it goes farther than just what money does or what fame does, anything like that. Before there was money and fame, all you have is your name. All you have is the things that God gave to you, right? So when you get added onto, when God blesses you and puts more to you and forces you to stand out and you don't understand, but you feel like you misunderstood and people not going your way and you were upset about it, and it ends up being the leader, and then you end up having more, and then you end up the opposite of what everybody else thought you were going to be. That's what I feel like I'm in right now. That's what I feel like I'm living right now. I feel like as if I was the underdog for so long. I was being looked over for so long. I didn't know what I was going to be doing in my life for so long. And then now, as if things are popping out for me. Things are happening for me. It's almost not effortless, but it's almost as if the work that it took is effortless, because that's all I know. It's to grind. It's the work ethic. It's because God has had me stood out for so long. In my mind, though, and in my spirit, I knew I stood out. It wasn't that everybody else knew I stood out. I just knew. And the people that know me understand that when I say this, I felt for many years that God put on my spirit, there's something big that's going to happen in my life. I just don't know what it is yet. And that's what we got to do. Look forward to it. Your future is bright. Be blessed, loved, successful, man. Just know that you have purpose, and God going to make you stand out. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one.